to start today talking about something you know a lot about, the collaborative economy. I first want to start by asking, do you feel that the collaborative economy, the sharing economy, since you really revolutionized and created the space in many ways, has matured significantly in the years since Zipcar came on the scene?
Well, clearly it's matured because it didn't exist before we built it. And what we've seen is Zipcar really was telling people that if you share something, you can use it quickly and easily, and it's better than owning it. So that was a revolution. And we also showed to the venture capital world that this was an interesting market. So that was kind of a profound thing. Technology works and there's a market size. So lots of startups after that could say, we're going to be the Zipcar of something, to say people are interested in sharing and people are interested in collaborating and technology makes it work. So we see now that Zipcar shared assets that the company owned, and now we're seeing more sharing of peer-to-peer sharing. I feel like that's still a constrained vision of the sharing economy, because we can have not just P2P, but P2B, P to government, so there's a lot more stuff in there.
Do you see certain aspects or verticals? You mentioned sort of these various containers underneath this larger idea. Do you see certain of them in decline? Like the idea today of the sharing economy, everybody compares himself now to Uber, because that's the big thing, the Uber of X, the Uber of Y. Do you feel that is almost, pardon the language, bastardizing the concept, that we're overpopulating the concept with ideas that don't hold water?
I think we will always move to the latest meme, the latest thing, and it's just I think it's a shorthand for people, but definitely when you have shorthands, it definitely does not control the whole. I mean, the whole is, I think of every smartphone and app is in fact an incredibly tight collaboration between the owner of that smartphone and their data and the person who made the app and the phones. So we're seeing this deep collaboration in all sorts of realms. So I do think the uberization of something is a really short, tight little circle, and it's much broader than that. But it's fast for headlines and fast for press.
Mm-hmm. Let's fast forward a little bit, maybe 10, 20 years from now. What is the next iteration of the collaborative economy? Okay. Let's not take it to the Uber of X. What is the thing that is the next big thing?
If we think about the controversy around Uber or Airbnb or any of these, is that we see people and platforms. So I think of this as Peers Inc., this collaboration. And the reality is, he who finances the platform and makes the platform sets the rules of engagement for everyone underneath. And that's where there is strife, because the drivers are saying, wow, Uber gets to change the rules. Or people who are deep into the collaborative co-op thing say, Airbnb, they're cutting out this thing that used to be done between people. So the future, if I think of the future, it will be who is creating that platform and how's that being financed. So on the people side, it's distributed, resilient, and the value is spread among lots of people. I think the future will see us building platforms that are also very distributively built, and the value is shared. And I would point specifically to the blockchain, which is the technology underlying Bitcoin. So Bitcoin is made by lots of people with their servers creating that reality, creating that platform. And that's what we'll see in the future, is a distributed, autonomous organizations on both sides, supply and demand, and the platform building itself.
Again, the shared economy, buzzword, getting very heavy, Uber for X. Let's talk about some of the pitfalls and issues of the industry as it relates to a new entrepreneur entering the market. What are some of the things you would advise a new entrepreneur to think about before even thinking they can enter the sharing economy ecosystem?
What we know about this sharing economy is, I think of it as peer productions. You're going to have peer supply side or peer demand side. And peers suck. 85% of the people are not professional, they don't follow through, they don't do all this. So when you're conceptualizing this, realize it's not like you get 10 people and all 10 of them perform. You have to get thousands of people, because 10% or 15% are actually going to do what you want to do. If we think about eBay, they were the first ones to say, whoa, we need ratings and commentary. And whenever you think of these platforms, you will always see ratings and commentary, because the fact is, you got to get those people out. So to realize it's not a short path, and it's much harder than you think. The second piece, which we would always say, is what is your minimum viable product? And what is the smallest geography or smallest niche that you're going to be able to own and populate and be successful at before you grow big? Because we think, oh yeah, it's a technology thing and everyone can join, and you will just have this very thin little veneer of something that doesn't work at all.
So now you're an entrepreneur, you're in the market, you
Yeah.
have a product, it does something for someone on demand of some kind.
Yeah.
What are the obvious mistakes you've seen entrepreneurs and business owners make? So now they have the product, they're out there, they're
Yeah.
either in scaling or MVP stage, but they're actually in the business. Where are the mistakes that you can help them either avoid entirely or maybe have them look deeper into the business that they have now to see are they already making these mistakes?
I think entrepreneurs are naturally incredibly optimistic. So mistake number one is that you never want to see the mistakes. Like whatever is going bad, you just kind of brush it off because you're constantly saying, wow, it's great, come work for us and finance us, do this. And so I guess my top number one tip is don't drink your own Kool-Aid. Know what's wrong and fix what's wrong as fast as you can. So I think entrepreneurs we want to think it's all great and we want to let these things slide and it'll get better over time. The reason startups beat out other companies is because they can be incredibly nimble and move really fast. So your job is to start with something small and see how people are relating to it and learn absolutely as fast as possible and start finding that path of most success. So I think about watch what's happening closely. So two things, you can spot mistakes fast and change them. And two, see incredible opportunities and say, whoa, hadn't noticed that, and go up on that.
Where do you see the next big segments within the shared economy? Obviously, you played a role in transportation. Uber, again, same thing, different sort of concept. But where do you see the next segments that really need revolution and that are ripe for people to jump into space?
I think we're going to see, what I'm interested in is if I think about what do smart cities look like and smart homes, this idea, again, of a deep collaboration. We all talk about big data, which I think is blah, 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 big data. People haven't figured out what exactly to do with it. But how can we make our lives more efficient by having the platform do the heavy analysis, the tricky stuff that you as an individual never pay attention to? So I think there are some real opportunities in thinking about, which sounds crazy, like the sharing of data in a way that makes other people's lives much more easy. And I realize I'm being a little bit obtuse, and you were hoping I was going to say, yeah, food,
it's this space, exactly.
Food or something. There's a couple spaces. This is a crazy one, agriculture. Why I say agriculture and the food industry is because right now it's something like, 2% of the companies own 90% of the space, which tells me that there's incredible economies of scale there. And if there's economies of scale there, that means we can, by building these really clever platforms that empower individuals, which is what I think of the sharing economy is doing, is the platform is giving the power of the corporation to the individual. So I look at the whole food agriculture segment and I think, wow, we know there's economies of scale. So what is the platform that will empower small players to be stronger? So any place where you see a huge monopoly power using old industrial methods, I think is ripe because it's saying that platforms and scale really matters, and we can now give that out to people.
Over the years, we've had many guests on this show with all kinds of partner stories and partnerships and all kinds of things. You have had many partners over the years in different ways, investors and partners in businesses and so forth. I was curious to know, when you look at a new business opportunity and you're looking to surround yourself with the right people, what are the things you're looking for specifically today before you enter into some form of partnership? And what have you learned over the years to sort of influence that viewpoint?
That's a really good question because, I've made some errors in the past and how you get over that.